Hey, everybody, it's your girl, Coach Crystal. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. Listen, if you're just joining us, welcome to the Steps and Stages community. And if you have been a part of Wisdom Wednesdays, if you are tracking all your takeaways, and if you are taking in every bit of wisdom that our guests offer us, welcome back. We just want to make sure that everyone knows where they are. You're at the Steps and Stages Wisdom Wednesdays. Tonight, we have a special guest, Coach Mike, and we just want to welcome you here with the Steps and Stages mantra that we open up all of our sessions with. And it just says a lot of things happen before this, and I guarantee a lot of things are going to happen after this. But I promise to be here with you now. Please be here with us now. Tonight, we have a special guest, Coach Mike. Coach Mike has an amazing organization, and he has a way of working with people that I think is so clear and so honestly servant leadership that we wanted to bring him on to talk about something that only I think he can address. And the topic tonight is Kings and Cash Flow. So Coach Mike is going to talk to us a little bit about his organization, Breakthrough Kings, what they offer, but we're then going to talk about a little bit about what it really means to talk about cash flow as we move into making our own way and visions happen in the world. So Coach Mike, we're going to bring you on out. He will be with us. There we go. Coach Mike, tell us a little bit in your own words about who you are and what you do.
What's up? What's going on? My name is Mike Williams. I help men increase their monthly cash flow by reselling their knowledge and expertise without losing their time or their family. We run a platform called Breakthrough Kings, breakthroughkings.com. We believe in 4 cornerstones, and that is family, success, leadership, and community. We believe that men, when we can have it all if we simply just buckle down on this one problem, which always burns a hole in our chest, and that's our cash flow. If we can fix that one problem, we can spend more time and energy on the things that actually are important.
Yeah, that's good. Y'all know what? You see why we brought Coach Mike on tonight? Not only does he sound like he has a radio voice, but we're going to get into it. Coach Mike, what made you understand that this was the real problem?
Because it was me.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
It was me for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I found myself, with beautiful children, beautiful wife, great place, a great job. I had all these wonderful things, but I was so fixated on creating more, right? I was so fixated on business and freedom, and that same focus allowed me to go in a tremendous amount of debt. And then only thing I was obsessed with was trying to get out of debt. And it was like cash
Yeah.
flow, cash flow, cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, a lot of guys that I run into, once we really get down to the nitty gritty, they had the same problem. So it's like, all right, cool. How can we fix this problem without working another, 40 hours a week,
Yeah.
without getting a part-time job, and
Mm-hmm.
without doing all these other things that was taking more time away from family and,
Yeah.
and connection. I found myself sleeping on the couch and not really
Uh-huh.
knowing why, right? Because I was just depressed, focusing on this issue. My
Yeah.
wife trying to understand, like, why are you down here? As she's just simply trying to understand if she did something, but she
Mm-hmm.
didn't. It was just me so fixated on trying to fix that one problem, and it's just money just simply consumed me. And it just took me away from all those things that truly are important, and that's just family connection with your significant other, and so many of those intimate things. So yeah, if that answered the question.
I mean, to answer the question, Coach Mike, listen, I mean, it's no secret that the majority of my clients are women, right?
Uh-huh.
And we think about money in a different way.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's about having enough or being taken care of. Sometimes it's about having your own and not having to ask, right? So all of these things that come into play when we're talking about not just the asset of money or the energy of money, but really these two different perspectives. Now, when I think about this, I'm a parent who's single. I'm a pretty, independent woman, but the thing about it is when it comes to money, I've seen it tear so many people apart that I kind of don't want to give it any type of value in my life that could interrupt this freedom that you were talking about. How did you really notice that it was interrupting your understanding of freedom? Because what you described in the beginning of the reason why you wanted to increase your cash flow was really about freedom, time, having access, and then all of a sudden you were losing that.
Mm-hmm. You know what? When I started really focusing on gratitude,
Mm,
right? Just reading the right material, and I read a book called the Way of the Superior Man. And there's a portion of that book that does talk about focusing on what you do have and having gratitude for that.
yeah,
And then you and that's a practice, right? You have to practice gratitude
yeah,
every single day.
every day.
You have to really look at all the resources that you have around you. And another thing that and I'm going to reference the Kings on my Wall. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So I got into autobiographies and just reading people's stories. And I remember reading about Booker T. Washington, who walked about 500 miles for an education. He walked
Mm,
500 miles for an education he wasn't sure he was going to get.
mhm,
When he got to his destination, they denied him. So he just walked 500 miles. They denied him this education.
uh-huh.
Eventually they accepted him into the college, but it was the fact that he was willing to go through all of that just for information. And here I am. I had it at the palm of my hands, right? I got it in
Yeah.
these $1,000 phones that we have and these
Mhm.
computers,
Yeah.
instant information.
Yeah.
So I said, who am I to have the audacity to sit back and not simply focus on, number one, be thankful for what I have, and just simply create a plan that I can work at every single day? Because compared to what they went through,
Yeah.
how could I have the audacity not to do what I need to do and build something,
Exactly. Yeah.
Most importantly, start with gratitude for what I already have, because I
Mhm.
kept missing that point. I
Yeah.
kept overlooking it because I was so, I got to fix this. I got to get this. We got to make more of this. We got to do more of that. No, bro, like, yo, let's sit with what we have right now
Yeah.
and work the plan, and the plan will eventually take care of itself as long as we put forth that effort every day.
Yeah, no, listen, I talk to my clients all the time, Coach Mike, about, two of the most sought after professions we have in this country, being
Mhm.
doctors and being lawyers, are called practices.
Yeah.
And so everything you have to do in life is a practice.
Yep.
And the practice builds the value of the life you want to create.
Yep.
But this gratitude practice is huge, right?
It's very
One of the things we've been asking everybody this season on Wisdom Wednesdays is, what has been a time where you've had to surrender? So our guiding quote is from a writer named Pico Isla that says, "You're only as strong as your readiness to surrender." Now, a lot of times we're not really ready to surrender. We kind of get pushed or pulled into like a version of surrender that's like solving a problem or forcing us to grow. But, when you finally did say, you know what, this is not what I'm doing this for,
Yeah.
what did that surrender moment feel like?
Wow. You asked that question, and the first thing I thought of is an incident that happened to my son, my middle son.
Uh-huh.
Um, he is, he's very different than my daughter or my oldest son.
Mm-hmm.
He has different mannerisms, right? He's a genius in certain things, math and reading and articulating certain things. But physically, right? It's not like his wheelhouse, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So he had asked for some help to get into the back seat of the car. And and I'm like, why can't you get in the back seat of the car? Right. I'm like, just step up and get in the back. I was like, your sister just did it. Right. And I'm comparing him to his sister. And, he just like he had this overwhelming look on his face and he just started to cry. Right.
Mm.
And, he got into the back of the car and then it was this whole deal. My wife is like, why couldn't you just help him? I don't understand why you just couldn't help him. And I'm coming up with all these excuses about why he couldn't do what his sister did.
Yeah.
So now as I'm driving home for about an hour and a half because we're traveling from family's house and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, this had nothing to do with my son. This had everything to do with me and my own trauma. Like,
Yeah.
why couldn't I help my son? Like, Greg, that was a valid question that my wife asked.
Yeah.
So when I got home, the first thing I do, as soon as we got together, we was by ourselves, and I apologized to my son. I really apologized. And I said, I hope that you can forgive Dad because he was truly wrong, and I should have helped you get into the backseat of the car.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and at that moment, I realized that, my patience is my child's strength. And I can't be so focused on, making money and building this business and where it's taking over how I communicate with my innocent children.
Yeah.
Right? And moving forward, I was like, you know what? I got to take a few steps back and really start to put a lot of my energy into how I maneuver myself throughout my household and how I talk
Mm-hmm.
to my family and
Mm-hmm.
how I communicate with them. And by doing so, it just made me just a lighter person, right?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lighter person. And that actually goes a long way in business. Right?
Yeah. It
Dealing
does.
with all the stuff that we have to deal with in business, it
Yeah.
just made me a lighter person. So, you know what? I got to take a seat back because that's not who I am, and that's not who I want to be, and that's
Yeah.
not why I'm building this legacy, right?
Right.
I don't want my son to ever not never feel that he can't ask me for help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that was a huge moment for me. Some people was like, wow, I can't believe you did, but that was a real thing for me. And
Yeah.
such a huge change. And I had to just surrender into gratitude and to just, taking us a few steps back and, realizing that, who my family really needs. And they didn't need that crazy guy.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, that's transformation, right? But at the end of it, what you're really saying is we're playing the long game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Parenting is the long game. Business is the long game. None of this is going to happen overnight.
Right.
And one of the things that you were really good at with your clients is thinking about how cash flow is sustainable for the vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can plan to be in business, but you have to have a vision for who you're going to be as you grow so that the business can be a part of your life and it doesn't become a chore, doesn't become something you don't, that's bogging you down, right?
Yep.
So when you think about cash flow with your clients, especially, men and money, and like, how do you bring back the patience to the process?
Awesome. You got to remind clients every day, just like we got to remind ourselves every day, that each day that we follow through, we're getting that much better. Each day that we have another quality conversation with a potential client, we're getting that much better.
Yeah.
Right. And we got to realize that, every day we just simply taking those steps one at a time, especially with men. We want it now. Right. We want the results now. Right. This is supposed to work this week. No, brother, it wasn't supposed to work this week because this is something brand new to you. Right. We got to, step every single day, just simply run the play. Like a lot of people say it on the internet, run the play. So that's what we tell clients. And then, just that's how we just put them at ease. Right. And then it helps that I have like this monotone
You
Um,
know, Barry White. When
right?
Barry White tell you, I mean, why not?
Things are going crazy around me. I'm gonna keep it just like this, and
Uh-huh.
it kind of
Uh-huh.
puts those clients at ease. Like, listen, this is your process.
Yep.
Enjoy it, because at some point when you're building something, you got multiple staff members. You're gonna have a lot of stuff going on. So enjoy where you are now in this process, because this is the fun stuff right now.
Exactly.
The fact that you get to
Exactly.
do it.
Yeah, no, that's good. You know, it's not just, and I'm just gonna be, everybody out there knows we're just gonna keep it real. It's
Yeah,
not just men that want it now.
yeah,
Right. We live in an instantaneous society where like I could swipe through 1,500 apps. I could,
yeah,
we can get what we want so quickly
yeah,
that when we don't, we think it's a problem.
yeah, yeah.
Right. And so then solving the problem of not getting keeps us from being who we're saying we want to become. So this idea, Coach Mike, that we have it here. So if my
Mhm.
clients are watching, they just like, okay, I already know what she's about to say. Type it in the chat, right? Being equals doing, not the other
Yeah,
way around. You
yeah,
don't do enough to become something. You become something enough to do the actions that it takes to sustain that person and that life you're becoming, right?
absolutely.
So when we get stuck in that, I want it now, we're actually cheating ourselves out of figuring out who we really want to be.
So much, so much. Cheating yourself out of the challenges. You cheating yourself out of the aha moments, right?
Yeah.
You cheating yourself out of those steps that you take, and you're just watching yourself blossom into
Hmm.
this entirely different person, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not entirely different, but just a higher level, just version of yourself that just thinks long term.
Right.
You
Uh-huh.
know what I'm saying? It's
Yep.
long term, and you're just focusing on one thing at a time that you got to take care of every single day. And it's not a chore anymore, right? It just becomes,
Right.
hey, this is who I am. This is what I do.
Yeah.
So so cool. There, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
No, that this is what I do part. Because okay, you work with a lot of entrepreneurs, right? Let's be
Yeah,
really clear
yeah.
that I was just talking to a group of young visionaries, and I said, you've been equipped to navigate systems, but
Mhm.
the real learning is when you can build a system that only you can operate in, and it still makes you feel powerful.
That's that's good.
Right? Because that's really the goal. But when people become entrepreneurs without that goal of creating a system for themselves,
Hmm.
they're constantly measuring themselves by the other systems they've been in, right?
Yep.
And
And
so, yeah, go
I love
go
that.
go.
No, I love that, and when you start to operate and and start to build that personal system when you spend most of your day thinking.
Mhm.
Right? Your systems are working for you, and you spend most of your day, it's most of your time just simply thinking like, okay, what adjustments do I need to make? Right?
Mhm.
How often do I need to make those adjustments?
Yeah.
Right? How can I make what I'm doing just a little bit better? I don't
Mhm.
want to add a whole bunch more. How can I do what I'm doing now, just make that a little bit better? And that's, I
Yeah.
believe, when we really start to tap into that genius level stuff.
Of
When we get
course.
fixated on that one single thing that we can simply just make better. We
Yeah.
always think we need to bring more. And I try to teach the guys, like, just like, in the beginning, I tell them, hey, listen, we don't have to work more hours to make more money. Right?
Mhm.
We got it right here.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
someone's ever asked you a question, you gave them an answer, they gotten a result, guess what? That's your cash flow right there. And when we
Yeah.
start to pull that stuff out and have them become fixated with making that one thing just so awesome for and making so much impact for other people, I
Yeah.
think that's when things just start to get crazy. Really
I
dope.
mean, the whole thing is that I know I battled this for years, Coach Mike. I just, full transparency, everybody knows we keep it 100 here, steps and
Yeah.
stages.
Yeah.
I thought for a long time that I was normal. And so there was no need for me to answer or say the specific thing that was popping up in me because I'm like, everybody knows that, right?
Right. Right.
Truth is, no,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I didn't know that they didn't know. I thought because I knew I'm a little country girl from the South, I had, been around the world just dancing. And I thought, well, everybody has these opportunities. They just don't say yes. They just choose not to.
Right.
No, no,
Right.
it's
That's a
not
fact.
normal. It's not normal,
Yeah.
right? And
There's
I
no-
fought so hard for years to be normal.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I had the worst 2 years of my life, and I was like, I'm good, Lord. I'm sorry. I don't want to be normal no more. I won't never say that again.
Yeah, he didn't make us to just simply be, like everybody else, right? There's
Right.
something about you that's super special. And I think that the only way we can really tap into that is working at something long
Yes.
enough. And everybody, we always, moving here, moving there, changing that, trying this, trying that. And we never really get to tap into genius because we don't do the
Yeah.
one thing long enough. Even the people we look up to, like, the Jay-Z's of the world, he rapped his way to where he is. That was
Yep.
his zone of genius.
Yep. Yep.
And so many other people. And I think that if we just stay still and just
Mm.
stay still and just work at one thing, and you'd be
Yeah.
so surprised at where you'd be.
It's true. People sometimes think that staying still and doing one thing is a lack of choice, but it's
Mm,
actually choosing to be disciplined.
yes. Yep.
Right.
That's the
It's
name of the
not a
game.
lack of right. That's the name of the game is to, and we could go back and forth wordsmithing, but
Mhm.
this discipline, right? The root word of discipline is disciple. Disciple means to be a learner.
Yes.
But most of the time we don't want to learn about ourselves.
Yeah.
We want to learn how to do what someone else is doing.
Right.
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 And so we get kind of caught up in that when you're like most valuable thing you can do all day is to refine your own system.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
people are like, well, what are you doing? Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should, like you got to be so still and quiet to know what your gift is. We joke all the time. Well, it's not a joke; it's reality, right? But most people who have seen my career evolve, when I say things like, well, yeah, like dancing is what made me realize I could do this. Like dancing is not the real gift.
Yep.
This is the real gift.
Yep. Absolutely. That's what's up.
Right.
I love that. And part
Yeah.
of a lot of my struggles earlier on with cash
Mhm.
flow and being able to communicate, because I was trying to be like somebody else. I was
Yeah.
trying to build a business like somebody else. I was trying to talk like someone else, right?
Mhm.
Because you figured, oh, that must be the way to do it. But no, that's not like you can learn from that. You
Yeah.
can take some notes. You
Yeah.
can use that as examples.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you got to approach this thing with as you are,
Yeah.
right? And just
Yeah.
approach it as you are. And until I became Mike, right? The same Mike that pops up on live streams is the same Mike in the kitchen goofing around with my
Yeah.
kids. The same
Right.
person, right? The topic might be different, but it's the
Right.
same person. And
Mhm.
when I started operating as myself all the time, and no matter what that setting is, then that's
Yep.
when things really start to become clear, right?
Yeah.
The results didn't come right away, but I
Right.
got clearer on what I wanted, who I am, right? And what I'm willing to say no to. And
Yeah.
then life just gets so much more exciting, and we got so much more growth to go. But sometimes you got to spend a lot of time with yourself, right? Yourself
Yeah.
and your higher power is to
Of
really
course.
start to tap into stuff.
It's true. It's true. People think no is a bad word, but no is clarity and yes is expansion.
Mhm.
When we can say no to something, we know that it's not for us. And when we say yes to something, we know it's more of us.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
We sometimes miss it. We think of no that's going to make us smaller. No just clarifies that there's a bigger yes coming.
Yep. I tell the guys, I'm like, listen, no, it's self-care. Like,
Yeah.
it's self-care. Like, don't get upset with somebody else because you had the inability to tell them no. Okay. And I
Yeah.
think the saying goes, an emergency on your part doesn't constitute an emergency on my part.
Exactly.
Right? If you
Exactly.
are
Right.
prepared, if I can help, I'll help. But I'm not about to rush to help because I got my own thing going on. And
Exactly.
sometimes you have to say no. And later on, when you say no enough,
Mhm.
you really start to that anxiety starts to kind of go away a little bit.
Mhm.
Just so many things will start to change when you start to just stop trying to carry the world on your shoulders. It's
Yeah.
not your
Yeah.
job. It's not your job.
Well, you know what, Coach Mike? It requires a little practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to practice saying no and understanding that once you said it, nobody died.
Yep.
They
That's
probably
right.
found another solution.
Definitely. Yeah, another person to ask or another
Right.
solution. And you did them a favor, right? You did
Yes.
them a favor by helping them to become more resourceful. Like, I
Mhm.
can't be your well at this moment, right? That's not
Exactly.
why. And
Exactly.
it's tough, with guys, especially when we throw that word king around.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Mhm.
Like, you're responsible for a lot. right?
Yeah.
I like a lot of medieval movies and TV shows, and I love the
Uh-huh.
way like the kings have to, they're the thinkers, and and
Yeah.
and, and it's not just their family and their legacy that protect them. That what the decisions he make is it determines the entire kingdom. If he
Yeah.
makes the wrong choice, the entire kingdom has been taken over by somebody else that they didn't want
Right.
to come in.
Right. Right.
So, we take that word king to heart, and then we feel like we got to take on so many other responsibilities. Like, no, we only need to focus on the ones that really matter for our specific kingdom.
Yeah, yeah. So we got a question in the chat. Miss Laniel said, "How did you begin to refine your own system?" I'm gonna let you go first, Coach Mike.
Wow, I'm a geek, right? And yeah, Crystal knows, like, I'm a
But
geek because
yeah.
it's data, right?
Mhm,
You have to start paying attention to numbers and tracking things, right?
mhm,
When we go into a diet plan of some sort, right? Unless we track exactly what we're eating, if you track exactly what you're eating and know the numbers, you'll lose weight so much faster, right?
mhm,
Because now hey, it takes XYZ amount of calories to gain a pound. So every single day, I need not eat that many calories
mhm.
right, in order for
Yeah.
me to lose weight. And then we start to get into all the other mechanics of how many calories the body burns. And when you specifically know those numbers, you can drop that weight so much quicker. So it's the same thing in life. What is your numbers, right?
Mhm.
What do we need to be paying attention to every day,
Yeah.
right? Do we have a problem with money, right? So are we paying attention to what we're buying and spending, right?
Mhm.
Does the casual cup of coffee just because it's just a cup of coffee, but hey, a cup of coffee every day for 365,
Yeah.
right? It adds up to a whole lot. So what are those numbers? So when I started to really pay attention to the data that I was putting out there, and I would say,
Mhm.
hey, let me change some things up just a little bit and
Yeah.
see where I'll be in 90 days.
Mhm.
And it worked the first time. Okay.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm gonna do it again and
Yeah.
again and again. Just simply know your data, right? If that makes sense, know your data, know your numbers, and you'll be surprised where you end up.
Yeah. Yeah. Miss Laniel, I mean, we work with the same intention. We just are working towards different results, right? So
Yep.
what I would tell my clients is that, first of all, in order to refine your own system, you got to do some accounting about what you're currently doing.
Yep.
So you
Right.
got to know what you're doing first. Then you got to know what you would love second. And then you got to build a bridge between the two, right? So
Yep.
are you refine your system by tracking, like, I'm going to try this in this area of my life, right? I
Yep.
tell my clients all the time a funny anecdote that I wanted to start working on my health and wellness. So I
Yep.
started drinking more water. When I started drinking more water, I became a better parent, which increased my love and relationships capacity because I was dehydrated and short tempered.
Wow.
Right,
Heavy.
like the loop, you could just track like, oh, I started drinking more water, I became more patient, I'm more
Mhm.
playful. Like it was crazy. It
Mhm.
wasn't something big that I had to start going back into my childhood and undoing some hurt.
Yep.
It was like you're dehydrated, you're
Yep.
quick tempered,
Yep.
and you need to
Yep.
you can't love anybody like that.
It-
Right. So refining the systems is about the data, like Coach Mike said.
I love that. And we think that we don't have what it takes to do it, but you think
Hmm.
about like going to work every day. You got a
Yeah.
system that you have to follow in order for you to keep your job,
Yeah.
right? Apply the same type of discipline to what you want to accomplish. And
Yeah.
man, right? If we
Right.
showed up for ourselves 5 days a week, imagine where we
Yeah.
would be, right?
Yeah.
If we gave ourselves 8 hours a day of just
Yeah.
paying attention, being still, and simply doing the little things every day, where would we be? I sent
Right.
out an email the other day to my list, and the title was, "What would your life be like? What would your life have been like?" And it was
Hmm.
a series of questions. What if you would have done this? What if you would have continued with that? What if you would have followed through to the goal? Where would you be today? And
Yeah.
that bugs people out because they're like, damn, you're right.
Yeah, yeah. But,
Right.
it's just like we say all the time, though, it all counts. It's
Mhm.
not about dwelling on the past. It's being impressed that you have the power to get through the past. And now let's channel that power towards something greater, right?
Yep.
Because it's not just like, oh, I missed that. The
Yeah,
opportunity can come back if it's really what you would love.
that's right.
Right? Like when you're talking about the cash flow and the money, we got to get so clear that cash is currency and it flows. Sometimes it's going to flow quick, sometimes it's going to flow slow, right?
Yep.
But as long as we have access to the currency, then
Mhm.
everything keeps moving.
That's it. That's it, man. That's good. That's good. I love that.
Yeah, some of y'all know, right? I'm a dance professor. So when people come into a dance class and they've never danced before, I said, listen, you only got two rules:
Mm,
go in the right direction and
Yep.
never stop moving.
Yep.
Because here's what's going to happen: if you go in the wrong direction, you're going to hit somebody. If you
Uh-huh.
stop moving, somebody's going to hit you.
Yep.
So you just got to go in the right direction and never stop moving. And I think that when you're talking to people about the systems of cash flow, you got to keep practicing, keep taking the next step, and
Mhm.
letting the next step tell you what to do for the
That's it.
momentum.
That's it, man. And like it all works. Like all this stuff, the energy works. Sometimes we get stuck. A brother text the other day. He's just like, wow, what do I need to do to, you know, get through this wall that keeps getting built in front of me? And I was like,
Mhm,
without knowing his entire situation, I'm like, well, let's focus on these small goals. Let's
mhm.
let's, let's get some small victories and let them things stack up. Right?
Yeah.
When them small victories stack up, you'd be surprised. You could just step right over the wall, the problem.
Mhm.
Right? Just keep it simple, keep it chunked. We always trying to solve this one problem all at once. Right? You didn't gain 100 pounds at once.
No, no, you did not.
You didn't go to $300,000 in debt all at once. It didn't
No, you
happen
did
all
not.
at once. So
Mm-mm.
we ain't gonna get rid of it all at once. Let's focus on these little victories. And sometimes little victories are just waking up every day. Start to
Yeah.
wake up and pray. Wake
Yeah.
up and pray. Wake up and pray. Get on the treadmill. Wake up, pray. Get on the treadmill. Wake up, pray. Get on the treadmill. Send out an email.
Mhm.
Whatever, and just keep stacking them up. And
Right.
before you know it, you've created this whole morning routine, these whole new habits. But
Yeah.
you got to be intentional, right? Got to
You
be.
got to be intentional. And it's about, you know what? We call it success momentum over here,
Ooh.
right? Building a success momentum, because our failure momentum is really clear to
Mhm.
everybody else and the world. But our success momentum is not necessarily as clear to us, because success for a lot of people, entrepreneurs, successful women, think of success as things we're supposed to do.
Ooh.
Right. And so when you start supposing and when you start shoulding on yourself,
Yeah.
all things come back around to, well, I'm not hitting the mark.
Yeah.
But when really we've never defined the mark for ourselves, so everything we do is missing the mark.
Wow. Heavy. And that's so true. So true. So true. I love that. Definitely got to be intentional. And
Yeah.
I love that. Like leaving the mark. That's dope. That's a
Yeah.
dope comment. I love that,
Well,
Crystal.
the mark that you're setting for your clients, right? We're both holding up these standards for our clients,
Yeah.
right? It
Mhm.
doesn't matter if we're holding up standards unless they see us practice as well, right? So
Right.
the transparency of the practice, the waking up, the rituals, the things that we do to keep ourselves on the frequency of the vision and to keep doing this work are
Yeah.
essential. But
Mhm.
those small things are what build the discipline to actually be mature in your practice,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Because
We've been, yeah, go ahead.
no, I'm just saying, like, as those small practices, you start to gradually change and get so much clearer. I don't know if any of you pray daily, but when you first start to pray, it's kind of like, you thank you, God. I woke up this morning. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
90
Uh,
days go past and you just down there going, you don't know who you are, what's going on, losing your mind, right? You
uh-huh. Yeah.
yelling and all of that stuff because
Uh-huh.
it's just you built up those little pieces of momentum every day, but
Yeah.
it just makes such clarity. Like whatever that is that you choose to do every day, and just do it, and just do it, and just do it, and then
Yeah.
results, man. It's amazing. The energy is
Yeah.
amazing. You feel good, more confidence, less anxiety. Like it's just
Yeah.
you start to just operate like nature intended you to operate.
Right, because you're ultimately becoming more of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And undoing those layers a lot of times feels like we're just shedding or breaking apart these old habits. But
Yeah.
we're reading a book in our mastermind Acceptance Stages called Chop Wood, Carry Water.
Uh-huh.
And one of the clearest lines in that book is, you only ever rise to the level of your practice. And it comes from an old Greek philosopher. This other writer is paraphrasing it, but it hit me the other day, and I was sharing it on one of the socials, that you only ever rise to the level of your practice.
Yeah.
So if you show up in paradise, the thing you said you wanted, but you haven't practiced, you won't even recognize you're there. But if you show up in paradise and you have practice, everything starts to line up.
Wow.
So this day-to-day practice is about assuming the paradise you actually want to live in, assuming the person, the king you want to be, assuming the queen you want to be, so that when those decisions come to you in your queendom kingdom,
Yep.
right? Everything you say is in alignment with the vision.
Oh, I love that. Just to piggyback, like, in
Yeah.
sales is it's a follow-up game, right?
Mm,
And a salesman was telling a story about how his wife watched him call one guy for about 8 months straight. And she said, "You keep calling him, he's not gonna answer the phone." He says, "I'm gonna keep calling him until I talk to him." Right.
mhm.
And he said, because it worked on you. And right. He called his
Right.
wife for 15 months before she
Wow.
picked up, and they went on that date, right?
Mhm,
15 months straight. So sometimes I tell the guys, like, sometimes it's not a spiritual thing. Sometimes
mhm.
it's an effort thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're always running to the spiritual and, this and that. We're looking for the next guru and what's the next big read.
Mhm.
You got enough information already, right?
Yeah.
Now you just simply have to put in enough consistent effort, and
Yeah.
consistent effort will allow you to start walking in your purpose, and
Yeah.
you'll be so glad you did it.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Because again, yes, that's exactly what it is. Because you can't do something you haven't practiced.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've been a professional dancer for 30 years, Coach Mike.
yeah,
Did I want to rehearse every day? No, many days, right?
mm,
Many days I
right,
didn't want to be on the stage, right?
yep,
And it's not that I didn't love it or wasn't grateful. It was just about stepping up and getting out of my own way of
mhm,
discomfort or laziness until the lights came on, right? Because I could talk myself out of it all day, like, oh, my legs are sore. I don't want to go. I'm tired. My back hurt. All those things. I
yep,
can find so many things wrong that I can't see what's right.
yep,
And
yep,
we miss that sometimes. We're like, well, I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I saw so and so did this. I don't even know what that is, right? All
yep,
the strategies and
right,
tactics that we think we're missing. And then that
mhm,
keeps us from even executing anything.
and always,
Yeah.
always, "Well, Mike, I saw you do XYZ."
Right.
No, no, I don't want you to do XYZ. I
Right.
need you to
Right.
start where you are, right? I need
Right.
you to
Right.
operate from where you are, and I promise you, the fruit is just as good, right?
Yes.
Just as good.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So,
Exactly.
yeah. Oh man, this is good. That's good.
This
I
is listen.
love it.
Okay, so tell us about some success stories, Coach Mike. Like we know that as human beings, we are prone to celebrating our failures more than our
Mhm.
successes. We know that we would love to look for the problem rather than the purpose. And we know that we sometimes shy away from practice because it requires too much patience.
Yeah.
But for the people who push through, what are the success stories that you see?
Awesome. There was a brother who was a very large individual, close to about 300 pounds.
Hmm.
And like I said, I show guys how to turn their knowledge and expertise into income.
Yeah.
So he lost a significant amount of weight. Looks phenomenal now. Like he's the guy's trainer, right?
Wow.
It's
Wow.
what you aspire to be as a guy. Like,
Uh-huh.
what? If I'm gonna hit this thing in the gym every day, I want to look like that,
Right.
right?
Let's do it. Yeah.
So, he did all of that for himself, and now packaging that into a coaching program that he now
Nice.
offers for several $1,000s, and now he gets to pay that information forward, and at the same time making significant amount of income for himself.
Yeah.
So just simply not working another job, right?
Hmm.
Not working another 30 hours at the one you got now, but
Yeah.
simply saying, you know what, I got some information.
Mhm.
This is what I got. So he's on track for this quarter to do well over $100,000 in
Nice.
this quarter alone of this year. So just simply turning his knowledge and expertise into, something that he can resell for others, make an impact and make an income.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Now, there's a couple of ways that if our viewers, if our listeners want to join you, there is Make It Count Mondays. Tell us about that.
Okay, Make It Count Mondays is awesome. Very similar to what we're doing here. Sometimes I have guests come on and I pick their brains about what they're doing. Sometimes it's just me just ramping, going crazy, and just full of positive energy, with a little bit of motivation, but at the same time, giving you some action steps that we can take. Just to simply get the ball rolling. We look at Monday as it's a dreadful day for a lot of people. The weekend's over, the work week is starting, and it's Monday, right? No, Monday's good. We gotta love Monday because it's a reset, right? It's an opportunity to look at what we did last week and see if we can do it a little bit better this week. So I always make it count Monday. Let's turn this perspective about Monday around, and look at it in a positive light, because you didn't have to wake up this Monday, right? You didn't have to make it to work, right? I know my wife, the other day, she was like, she was heading into work and traffic was crazy. And then she realized why traffic was crazy. It was this really bad accident. And she said, you know what? That was the fact that she was running behind that day. Hey, that could have been the reason. She could have been a part of that accident. So you know what? Let's be thankful that we got up this morning and we're able to just do what we need to do. So make it count Monday.
Yeah, looking at all the factors, right? Because it's never really just about you.
Right.
Right. We're in this big thing together. Like the same breath that's breathing me is breathing you. Like we can't just be like, I don't want to breathe today. Like we gotta think about all the things that go into creating this life. Yeah. Coach Mike, I have had an amazing time. Thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking to listen in on Make It Count Mondays, we're going to drop a link below this video. And we're also going to give you an invitation to the first ever Vision Camp Live. If you haven't been following, the Vision Tour has kicked off. We've been in Jamaica with Catalyst. We're going to be in Arizona with the Steps and Stages Mastermind. And on November 19th, you can get your ticket to be in the room with your girl, Coach Crystal, making the vision and making it plain. So November 19th, Hula Lakeside in Burlington, Vermont. If you've never been to Vermont, take a trip, make a weekend out of it. Make a vision for yourself in a place that gives you so much life. Coach Mike, maybe you'll come. I don't know. Maybe you'll come up from DC.
Good to me.
Okay, I'm just saying. Listen.
I ain't never been to Vermont either, so I heard it was really nice around this time of the year too.
You know what I'm saying? It's leaf season. Come on up. It looks like a Hallmark movie.
I love it.
For all those who are out there who are ready to continue the vision and make sure your cash flow is matching your ideas, link in with Coach Mike. He's an amazing asset to anyone's business or venture or vision. It's been a pleasure to have you here with us, Coach Mike. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom, for your patience, and for your time. And we'll see y'all next week. This is Wisdom Wednesdays.